Hi students, today we're going to go over how to draw a nose. So the next page in your portrait workshop is going to have the instructions. On the following page, we're going to see our practices again. So the first three again for your practices, you are going to be trying to replicate what is in the photograph. On the bottom half, you are going to try and draw your own nose. So paying attention to your specific details and how your nose is a little bit different from the guidelines. Remember, those details are going to be what makes your portrait look like the person you're drawing. So as you work today through the instructions and watch this video, you can either practice on a plain piece of paper in your sketchbook or start one of the assignments on the following page. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to start with a soft U shape. So think of like a little U that's been flattened. That's going to act as the ball of your nose. Coming right off of that line, we're going to add two little hooks on the ends. That is going to be the inside of your nostrils. Right outside, we're going to add parentheses on either side. This is going to act like the outside of your nostril. You'll notice that it's a little bit closer down here, and then it gets a little bit wider towards the top. The next step is to lightly continue the curve of the outside of the nostril. You're going to create the bridge of the nose, or this part right here, that will eventually lead up into the eyebrow. Now, right now I'm drawing a line, but ultimately your goal is to have this be a shadowed area. So you can see kind of here in the example, we won't see that individual line once we're done adding all the shadows that we're able to. We're also going to bring this down and create our area that goes between the nose and the mouth that feeds into the Cupid's bow, or that little divot in your mouth. So if we had our lips here, it'd be kind of like that. So the next thing you're going to do is add lots of shadows. Your nostrils, the inside of them, are going to be the darkest part of your nose. Think of them like little bat caves. It's going to be really, really dark towards the inside, and as you leave the cave, it gets a little bit lighter. You can always change the shape of your previous lines as you're doing this if you feel like it needs to be a little bit bigger or smaller. This will give you a general idea. We are going to leave some spots highlighted. So if you look on this little drawing, those four spots are going to be the lightest part of your portrait. So it's okay if you accidentally put some value there. You can always go back and erase it later on. We're going to add some value around the outside nostril, close to the inside. We're going to create some shadows in the center for the ball of the nose. That's this part right here, to make it look a little bit more 3D. And you can see as I'm adding shadows, I'm curving my pencil lines to help make it look three-dimensional. Again, just like we talked about with the eye, there should be very few pieces of your portrait that are completely white, like the paper. You should have at least a little bit of value almost everywhere on your portrait. The only spots that would not have any are going to be those highlights. As I'm shading the bridge of my nose, on your cheekbone, you're going to kind of swoop your pencil out a little bit to help give the illusion of a curve. Think about where you're going to have some more shadows. Underneath the ball of your nose, it's going to be a little bit darker because this part's sticking out, so it's creating a shadow. I'm going to make those nostrils a little bit wider. But the nose has very few contour lines. It's a bunch of shading. To create 3-dimension. I'm going to take a minute to continue shading, and I will be right back. Okay, so I spent about another 10 minutes shading my nose, give or take, and you can see now there's a lot more shadows. That individual line that I drew for the bridge of the nose is now completely just shaded in, and there's not one specific line. You'll notice also that there's a lot of line marks, like even down here you can see some that aren't totally smoothed out. Don't forget, you can always just take your finger and kind of smudge those together to make them a little bit softer so that you don't see the pencil marks. Some artists do like those pencil marks showing, so it's always an option to just kind of leave them. As you shade them, if you feel like you have some areas that are still totally white, take just the pencil from your fingers. You can see I kind of did that up in this area and around my eye, just to kind of add a little bit of really light value there. Because you might be erasing some of your highlights, you can always come back in with your eraser and add some pieces to make it look like it has a little bit of highlight. For your second practice, on the second page, you are going to be adding your eye. So let's start to put together some of the things that we've learned so far and see how you connect your nose, which the bridge of your nose leads right into your eyebrow, and then your eye will just kind of sit in there all nice and snug. Remember, symmetry is going to be difficult, so if you want to, either draw the eyes at the same time or use a paper, trace it on this side, flip the paper over for the second side, and then trace it again. Tomorrow we're going to be going over how to draw a mouth, so look forward to that. I hope you guys had some fun today learning how to draw a nose.